Let me ask you something, Mama. Have you ever felt torn between building your business and being present for your family? Like, no matter what it is that you're doing, part of you feels guilty. When you're working, you feel like you should be spending more time with your family. And when you're spending time with your family, your mind is thinking about your business. And somewhere in the middle of trying to do both, you start feeling stretched. If this sounds familiar to you, then today's episode is just what you need to hear because we are starting the next part of our BFF's Pillars series, and we're talking about that second F, and it's family. And today we're talking about how to build your business without losing your family in the process when we return. Hello, and welcome back, Mama, to another episode of the Making of a Mompreneur show. I am Rashida. I am your host of the wonderful Mompreneur HQ community. I am the founder and CEO of Get Right Coaching, and I'm the creator of the Digimompreneur Academy, where we help moms who are determined to find time, money, and location freedom to start, grow, and scale online businesses so that they can build the life of their dreams without neglecting themselves or their families in the process. Now, we do this in a number of ways through coaching, content, community, and through the Digimompreneur Academy, where we would love to have you join us to get the tools and resources that you need to build your online business. Well, today we are continuing our conversation about our BFF's pillars. And if you have been following us, we have walked through business, which is BFF's business, faith, and now we're stepping into family. We're talking about building a business without losing your family in the process because the truth is that one of the biggest reasons why many moms start businesses in the first place is family, right? We want more time with our children. We need more flexibility to go to the kids' events. We want more freedom to be able to do what we want, when we want, how we want. And we also want more presence. We want to be there for them when they need us and don't want to be caught up with, oh, I can't because I'm working. But if we're not intentional, entrepreneurship can slowly start competing with the very people that we said we were building our business for. And today we're going to talk honestly about that. If you're joining us live, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with your community. And if you're looking to follow us, make sure you join us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at the Digimompreneur. And hey, if you're ready for this episode to begin, put hashtag ready in the comments and let's go. I want to say something right away that I think like a lot of moms need permission to hear. I mean, you already know, but sometimes we just need to hear it. You do not have to choose. You don't have to choose between being a good mother and building a successful business. But what you do have to build, it needs to be intentionally. What you do, it has to be intentionally because balance does not happen automatically. And without these boundaries that you need to put in place, without the structure and communication, which is very important in all relationships, and alignment, the business will erode your relationships. It will take every ounce of time and energy that you give it. It is going to take what you give it. So if you give a lot of time to your business, if you give more time to your business than with your family, for moms especially, that can become emotionally exhausting. And that's why family has to remain part of the vision, not just the reason you started. Because if you start planning out the map or the plan or the agenda for your business and you don't include or put on that schedule, we talk about how we do calendar blocking. If you don't put on that schedule your children, family time, self-care, you can get lost in the everyday busyness of your business. Um Joshua 24:15 says, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." So we want you to recognize me and my house. Me and my house means my family, not just individual success, not just personal ambition. We doing this for everybody. I'm doing this for everybody. We all gonna come up together, right? Rising tides, right? This is household alignment, and that is what matters. We are doing this together. Yes, I may be doing all the work. Yes, I may have the skill set and the tools and the resources to do this, but I'm not doing it just for myself. I'm doing this for us so that we can live a particular lifestyle, so that we can enjoy each other's time and presence. So, as we begin talking about our topic for today, if you don't already have your pen, paper, or digital device, go ahead and grab it. But this one may actually be something that you can just hold close to your heart, because we know that can be a really draining and emotional topic, only because we've all felt it at some point in time. Guilt for missing an event, guilt for not being there when our kids stubbed their toe or had their first steps, or some other monumental event that happened while you were not there. We've had those experiences, and may have had those experiences and regretted it, and felt guilty about it. But we want to make sure that as we're building our businesses, which is one of our mottos, I'm telling you, this BFF series is so good to me, because it's really sharing with the audience exactly how we built this business, right? We wanted to be intentional about building our business, but in a way that moms would be able to build their business without neglecting themselves or their families in the process. Digital business so that we're present. An online business that we can turn off if we needed to, so that we can go somewhere to be with our family. This is reason one of the reasons why we built this platform, because we want to be able to help moms to not neglect their families or themselves as they're building their business. Because the point number one is that your business should support your family, not replace them, right? That's what we want to focus on. Your business should support your family and not replace them. One of the subtle traps in entrepreneurship is that your business can slowly become your entire identity. Every conversation becomes about business. How you doing today, girl? I'm doing fine, but I tell you, I'm wore out that business of mine, right? Every free moment becomes work time. I finally get time. The baby's down. The baby's down for a nap. Let me go get some work done, right? Every ideal, every idea feels urgent. Why? Because I have to get it done while the kids are at school. I need to get this done right now while the baby's napping. Oh, I need to get this done right now because the client just pinged me, and they're going to be gone for the rest of the week on vacation. I'm not going to get them in time, or this sale or this thing. Everything becomes a pressing issue if you let your business um, overtake you or overwhelm your day, your calendar, and everything that you do. And before you know it, your business starts consuming the very life that you were trying to improve. You wanted to build your business so that you can have free time. But every time you have free time, you're building your business. Now, I want you to hear me clearly. There is nothing wrong with ambition. There is nothing wrong with building. There's nothing wrong with wanting more for your family. But your family cannot constantly receive the leftovers of your energy. Think about that in a marriage. If all you got from your husband or your spouse was leftovers, with your children, oh, they're running and they're playing and they're being, everywhere and doing everything. And then all they have left for you is, all right, woo, I'm so tired, mommy. Good night. Even if it was your job, your workplace, you know, they give all of the big important jobs to your coworkers and give you the scraps, the things that don't have the biggest impact in the business, but they're expecting you to do it. One of the questions I've had to ask myself is, am I building this business that supports my family, or one that constantly pulls me away from them emotionally, mentally, physically? Am I really building this that's going to help in a way that's going to help us? Or am I hurting them as I build this business? And that's a serious question. It's one that really matters, because success means very little if the people closest to you feel disconnected, if they feel left out, if they feel irrelevant from you while you're building it. And and again, we say that we're building this for our family, but sometimes family gets on the back burner, especially in those beginning phases, right? Because you feel like you have to give your all, your 100%. You gotta. And so it gets really overwhelming really quick. It gets tiring. It's exhausting trying to balance everything. But that's when we have to find that harmony, that work-life harmony. How can we get all these things to work together in harmony versus me 100% in my business and 220% in presence at home? And speaking of presence actually matters more than perfection. We're not perfect people, period. So when we are talking about point number 2, presence matters more than perfection. I think moms carry so much pressure to do everything perfectly. We got to get it right. We're the example. Our kids are watching us. We have to have the perfect schedule and we got to make the perfect Instagram eligible meals, perfect business. It got to be, making all of this money with the perfect routines, because if we wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning, every detail needs to be mapped out perfectly. We have to have perfect motherhood. Like we're reading 5 and 7 books to try to make sure that we're doing just everything right. And that pressure alone can make you feel like you're failing constantly, because who's perfect? Definitely not none of us. And guess what? Your family does not need perfection from you. They don't. You might think, oh, well, but let me tell you, my kids would tell you if something didn't taste good that I cooked. Mom, that was, but you tried. And I'd be just melting in my little seat, like, oh my gosh, they didn't like it. But then they'll say something like, but you tried. And we appreciate that. And that just warms my little heart. Because number one, I didn't start out thinking I was perfect, because I don't cook. So I already knew it was a stretch. But the fact that they encouraged me in that moment, because they know that there is no such thing as perfection. We are not perfection. But they gave me an E for effort. And that's what that's what your family needs, the E for effort, to know that you care, to know that you're putting them first, that they're a priority to you. They just need your presence. And presence means being emotionally available, right? Something When they cry, you cry. When they're happy, when they rejoice, you rejoice. They want you to be listening. They want to laugh with you and connect with you, sit next to you. Oh my gosh. I was like, it's a whole couch. Why you got to be all up on me? But sometimes they just want to sit next to you. That's part of connecting. That's actually a love language, like physical touch. And putting down the phone, and not just because those stripe ping ping pings are just so lovable. You sometimes you just need to put the phone down and enjoy your family. And let me say this too. Presence is not about being available every second of the day, because that's not always possible either. And when you try to be available every second of the day, that's when you get the kids busting in the bathroom having a whole conversation. I'm like, no. The bathroom, this is private space, one person at a time in here. I got to remind them little folks, because, yes, they love presence, but I love a bathroom break by myself. Okay. But even in those moments, right? That's called a boundary. I just set a boundary that the bathroom is my space. If I'm in there, don't come in there. We're not having a whole conversation. No, we're not. But having those boundaries and setting those boundaries in place, but still being present. It's really not about being perfect. It's about being intentional with the time that you do have. So not filling up all your free time with business and work, but filling up that free time with presence with your family. A focused hour, if you just gave an hour to family time, that is more valuable than being physically present um, while mentally somewhere else. You're sitting there, but not really there, right? They can sense that. And so that's why it's important to be present. Ecclesiastes 4:6 says, better one handful with tranquility than two handfuls with toil and chasing after the wind. And this scripture just really reminds us that peace and presence matter, not just productivity and getting things done. And so as we move on to point 3, communication creates alignment. Communication creates family alignment. And one thing that helps tremendously when building a business as a mom, that's going to be communication. And I right off the bat, everybody needs to be aware of what's happening. And sometimes we expect our family to understand our stress or understand the goals that we're trying to reach in 30 days and this workload that we carry without actually communicating what's happening. They're not understanding that. They're not seeing that. They're just seeing mommy's not here, mommy's always working, and that's it. They don't understand all the things that are happening with you and why you're not available, especially if you are not communicating that. Your family may not fully understand entrepreneurship to begin with. You may be the first in your family. So they see one person going to work at an office, and they may not see you working in an office, and they're thinking you're just home on a computer, not understanding that you are doing the same thing. You're working and making an income, but just at home on your computer. But in the beginning, they don't really know that. So they just think that you're always away, you're always working. But when you communicate with your family your vision, you tell them, hey, this is my schedule, this is when I'm available. You express your needs to them, you let them know what's going on. Hey, you know what, baby girl, I would love to play with you right now, but mommy is so tired. Is it possible for a rain check? Just let them know. It's been a long day for mommy today. Now, again, if you always have that story, if you always have that excuse, if you're always writing rain checks, that can push your family away. And we don't want that. We don't want that. We want you just to communicate so that everybody's on the same page, everybody's in alignment, and it really creates a partnership instead of tension where they're thinking, they feel like there's this tension you're pulling away from them. If you include them in your business affairs, not necessarily that you have to tell them everything, everything that you're doing, everything that's involved, because that might overwhelm them and they might be like, oh, never mind, that's so boring, right? But being able to pull them in and let them know, okay, well, while I'm away, this is what I'm doing. I'm actually working on working my business so that we can save up some money for this trip for you for a summer break or whatever the case may be, right? Just communicating that and getting and sharing the schedules, sharing your goals. Hey, you might even have some built-in cheerleaders that are helping to support you to reach your goals if you communicate with them that that's what you're reaching for. Maybe they'll even say it's okay that you didn't pour their cereal this morning because you overslept because you were working so hard. If they know, oh, well, mommy was really working hard to reach her goal. I hope she reached her goal. I'll get my own cereal, whatever the case may be. Again, this is partnership. If people know, and this matters in marriage too, right? If your spouse knows, if everybody knows what's going on with you and everybody's in alignment, they can understand what's the ebbs and flows, then there's more cooperation and partnership and even leniency and grace. Grace is a good word. They extending grace because they understand that you are working towards something and it's not just for yourself, it's for all of us, right? Your business should not feel like some secret world that your spouse and your children are disconnected from. Bring them into the journey in age appropriate ways and let them celebrate wins with you. Let them see what healthy work ethic looks like. Let them see what healthy boundaries do to enhance your household. And it's incredible that my daughter actually has been very what I was saying, not influential, but looking at her work ethic. She plays the euphonium. It is summertime. School is out for her. And she still practices every day because she says she wants to make first chair senior year, I mean her in 8th grade, and she wants to be able to go on a special trip, and she wants to be able to qualify for this special recognition. So she has continued to practice every day even though school is out of session. Seeing that type of work ethic is really tremendous. And to think that she gets some of that from what she's seen at home, that we work towards betterment. We work towards doing better, being better. We say it in our prayers about, asking God to help us to be better. So, to see that, it's really, 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 really pleasing to know that even as we struggle as mom entrepreneurs, our kids are watching us and they know we're not perfect. But if we keep acting like we're perfect, what what is the psychological impact of that to our kids as they're watching? So we just definitely want to draw them in, help them to be aligned in with what it is that we're doing, and not operate in a silo. Because when we operate in a silo, we're pushing them away, and we want them to feel included in our journey. Next, I wanted to say that we want to build rhythms that protect what matters most. And this is simple. If you don't intentionally create rhythms for your family, business will fill every every open space. And that's why rhythms matter. So it's rhythms, routines, whatever you want to call it, just making sure that you protect what matters most. So when we have those, that could be family dinners, date nights, screen-free moments, Sabbath, rest, vacation, time blocks. My daughter has family movie nights. It used to be Saturday nights, but she gets a little random where she want to do it on Sunday evenings or Friday nights. But it used to be Saturday nights. That was family movie night. And not because life will always be perfectly structured. Sometimes you're not going to be able to have Saturday movie nights. Like my daughter, she'll just move it to Friday or move it to Sunday because the calendar or the schedule don't really work out. We get in from somewhere out late on a Saturday night. No, we cannot do movie night tonight. It's too late. So, you adjust. But because what matters most deserves intentional space too, you make time, you make room. And no, you won't always get it perfectly right. Again, if we are perfectionism is the death to a lot of stuff. So let's just throw that out the window. Nobody's perfect. But what will make a difference is intentionality. Intentionality will change everything. So let me just ask, where do you currently feel the greatest tension between business and family? Is it time? Is it boundaries? You don't feel present? Is it guilt? Is it balance? Go ahead and drop one word in the chat below and let us get the conversation going. What do you feel? Because a lot of times it's there's nobody perfect, but those feelings can get in the way. And if we don't address them quickly, they can become really hard spaces. And we don't want that. We want to be able to address it. If we say, I'm really struggling with time, then we could talk about how to time block. If we're talking about boundaries, let's talk about how we put some boundaries in place. If we're saying, oh, well, I'm feeling guilty about my presence with my family, well, let's look at that calendar. How can we do how can we address the thing that is really bothering us right now? Because awareness is actually the first step toward alignment. We got to first put it out there. What is it that is creating the greatest tension between business and family? Now, we're mom entrepreneurs, so there's always something happening, but I want you to drop one word if you can. Then I also want you to remember that building a business and loving your family well are not opposing goals, but both require intentionality. And sometimes the healthiest thing you can do for your business is to strengthen your home. Because if you constantly, because if you're constantly going back and forth, if you constantly got kids in your ear because they don't really understand that you are actually working, even though you're sitting at home on a computer, if you don't share with them your goals so that they can celebrate your wins, then they're disconnected. They're not feeling like they're together, like they're part of what it is that you're trying to achieve. And because your family is not a distraction from your purpose, you have to make them a priority. They are a part of your purpose. If you feel called to entrepreneurship, because I'm telling you, this ain't for the faint of heart. If you've been called, if you feel you've been called to the to entrepreneurship, then you cannot do this alone, because we were never meant or intended to grow alone. Right. So this week, what I want you to do is to ask yourself a simple question, and one that I've asked myself: what does my family need more of from me right now? I'm sure your family doesn't need more guilt. Mm-mm. So I don't want you to think from a place of guilt. When you ask that question of yourself, what could my family use more of from me? And we've named a couple of things. Do they need more presence? Not presence with a T. Do they need more of my presence? Do they need more time with me? Whatever that is, you figure that out, answer that question, and don't do it from a place of pressure, but do it from a place of love and awareness, because maybe they need more presence. Maybe they need clearer boundaries. Maybe they just need uninterrupted moments in time with you. Whatever it is, start there. Whatever you've identified when you asked that question, whatever you answered, start from there. Because sustainable success is not just about what you build publicly, because that's what everybody can see outside, but it's also about what stays healthy privately. Because it's so lonely. I've heard it is so lonely at the top. If you climb to the top by your nails, clawing up to the top by yourself, it can be really lonely. And it's even more lonely when you've had a family, but you decided not to make them a part of your journey. And you get all the way up to the top and realize that you no longer have the family that you built this business for, because they felt neglected. They felt unseen, unheard. They didn't have your presence and spend time with you. They felt disconnected, right? So we don't want that. That's most like we started this show. Most moms start their business for their families. So let's make sure that we're building a business without losing your family in the process. Well, again, if you haven't already, make sure that you um, comment, subscribe, and even share this episode if it touched you in a way or resonated with you. You can do that on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, at the Digimompreneur. Follow us. Make sure you're staying in touch so that you can know when the next episode drops. or when we have something going on in the community at the Mompreneur HQ on Facebook. I again, this is the BFF series, so hopefully you're able to get something too. I know this is not always about the digital products or building your own business online, but this is a breakdown of the pillars of our community. And we have tons of video, over 60 videos on YouTube. So if you want to go check out any of those about digital products, about starting a business, you are welcome to it. We'd love to hear your responses and get feedback from you on those episodes as well. But this series, we just wanted to make sure that we go through our pillars so that people are aware what impacts us and what impact we want to have on our community. So as we continue our conversation, we started with business, we ended with faith, and now we are going to talk about family. And the last of our BFFs is self-care. So thank you for joining us for another episode of the Making of a Mompreneur show. And we will see you in the next episode. Until next time.